flawless victory.
Hey guys, Mono here. You know, when I think about new players trying out Hallows for the first time, I think forest maps like Hill 400 and Hurgen Forest are probably the worst first experience that they can have with the game. Because, you know, being thrown into the middle of a forest without understanding the pacing of the combat in the game or the map layout, I think that results in all of those, you know, I can't see the enemy and I'm getting shot from nowhere complaints that I very often see both here in the channel comments and other places like Discord or Reddit. Even for veteran players, it can be hard to adjust your gameplay in these maps in order to be effective, and that's the key problem, I think. You really do need to play differently to most other maps in order to be effective in these forest maps. Basically, all you need to do is play way slower than normal, but there's also some nuance to this. So let's go over some tips to help you guys have a better time in the German countryside. As always, before I get started, please smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, and follow me on Twitch if you want to catch me live. Alright, let's get started with the choice of weapon, which should broadly go towards semi-auto rifles. So G43 or M1 Garand work great here. The G43 can be a bit hard to come by if you're German, unless you've reached level 6 Rifleman, which I highly recommend you try and do, because it's one of the best kits in the game. But the Kar 98 is also pretty decent, unless you're actually trying to get it into the more urban areas these maps have to offer, or the trench lines. So in those situations, the MP40, the FG42 or STG44 should do the trick, though they won't be as effective in those forest areas as a semi-auto or regular bolt-action rifle. All the semi-auto rifles will be awesome in forest maps because you will have the range, the accuracy and the fire rate to deal with pretty much anything that comes your way. You'll often have to aim between the trees at moving targets, so getting those one-hit kills is way better than having some full-auto weapon that will require multiple shots through those trees. Obviously, there's no forest-style maps for the Russians yet, at least, so yeah, but the SVT in that case or the bolt actions would also be a better choice here than something like the PPSH. So that's a fairly easy and obvious thing out of the way. Now let's talk about going prone, which is the bread and butter of these maps' playstyle. Imagine you're actually out in the middle of a dense forest area in the middle of combat, as in you're actually there, real life situation. You can't see the enemy, but you can hear shots all around, there's people dying, you're scared to death and don't know exactly where the enemy is. In that situation, would you stand up and start running around the forest? Probably not, right? Because it's pretty clear the chances of you getting shot go up dramatically if you do that. No, you wouldn't just run around, you would blend into the foliage as hard as humanly possible and try and survive for as long as you can. Here's some documentary footage I found. Apparently some Austrian soldier cleverly concealing themselves using mud. This is what you want to do. Unfortunately, you can't really lather yourself up in mud in the game, but you get the point. So tip number one, if you will, is stop running. But that's not a great tip because it just begs the question, when do you stop running, right? Because you can't just prone your way across the entire map, at least not without dying of boredom first. So here's when we get into the really meaty stuff, because you need to figure out where it's safe to run around and where you need to start slowing down. And for this, you need to have a rough idea of where the enemy is. There's multiple ways of doing this, but again, going back to that first Hella Loose experience, this is extremely hard for new players to figure out because of obvious reasons. I've done entire videos on how to read the map and how to understand where the enemy is, so check those out if you want and think that they might be useful, but more likely, your way of finding out where the enemy is going to involve getting shot in the face by them. So once you die from some random shot that came seemingly out of nowhere, respawn, but don't just run up to wherever you were. You want to go prone at least 50 meters before that position, if not more. So there's zero chance for whoever killed you to spot you again before you do. If you're running and going prone after you get spotted, you are dead anyway, because anyone that saw you hide is just going to wait until you move and take the shot. So if at all possible, you want to make sure that you are never spotted in the first place. However, I'm not just saying lay down on the ground and camp. What you want to do is crawl, then stop, take a look around, kill some enemies, and then crawl again. Basically what I'm doing here in the video footage. I kill a few enemies, I wait, wait for a bit, make sure nobody else is looking for me, and then I keep moving towards my objective. I will occasionally sprint while being crouched to quickly gain some ground, but I do this mostly so that when the people that I killed spawn back and start looking at the area that I was shooting from, I'll be catching them off guard again from a different angle. Remember that enemies spawn in waves, so if you catch 3 to 4 guys, then nobody else, that probably gives you like 30 seconds for you to move just a bit faster. Be extremely cautious though. It's better to gain 50 meters in 2 minutes than it is to gain 60 meters in 30 seconds and then get shot. Context, however, is absolutely key here. Pay attention to what's going on around you, to the terrain, to where the shots are being fired. Listen to the battlefield basically. Look at where your fellow soldiers are going down and so on. Again, this will be extremely hard for new players to do, but your fallback for this is communication. If there's soldiers around, ask them where the enemy is or tell them where you got shot from previously. This is a very simple thing to do that will dramatically increase both you and your fellow teammates' chances of winning. One major piece of advice in regards to avoiding detection is to avoid rocks and tree trunks at all cost. You do not want to crawl over them because they will make your soldier move all wonky, making it very easy to spot. Basically what happens is your torso will get stuck to whatever polygonal surface it can, which will make your body rotate up or down very quickly when traversing a rock or, like some roots or something. This means hands or feet up in the air for everyone to see, so don't go near rocks or fallen trees. Stick to very low bushes or just plain old dirt as much as you can. Do use trees as cover, but rocks often make you very visible as they provide a bit more contrast due to, how angular they are, so try to avoid them if possible. Speaking of, if you're using something silly like a white helmet, you obviously want to take that off, but your uniform won't really make a huge difference in terms of you getting spotted or not. German uniforms have a bit of an advantage here because they are generally darker, so they are better suited for these maps than the American ones. But again, the difference is not going to be, that's not going to be the main factor in you having a good time or not. My final tip here would be to be patient. Once again, think about what you would do if you were actually there. After killing a few enemies, would you stand up and run because no more of them came after like 10 seconds? Probably not, right? I can guarantee you that you can cover more ground by playing it safe than by running, even considering how slow crawling is. The thing is, you can prone around without getting shot way more often than you can run without getting shot. And when you do choose to run, do so crouched and only for short sprints unless you know 100% that there are no enemies around. Lastly, I want to touch upon artillery and smoke. Artillery can absolutely wreck teams on these types of maps given how open they are and how difficult it can be to find cover. Basically, if you're getting shot by arty while engaged with the enemy, standing up to run away from the arty will just give the enemy a clear shot, so it's a lose-lose scenario. Smoke is also equally useful because lines of sight can be huge, so blocking those lines of sight with either smoke arty or smoke grenades can be way more powerful than it is in more urban maps or even in, open field areas where hedgerows can provide continuous cover across large distances. So ideally you want your team using arty. If that's not possible because they are getting shut down by an enemy recon team, then you need to counter that with like the Puma or the Greyhound, but that's probably a topic for a different video. In any case, especially if you're playing squad leader, remember to use arty and call in smoke whenever needed. Alright, that's gonna be it for this video. If you have any other tips to share regarding forest maps and how to play them, then please leave a comment down for everyone to see. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one.